Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and in this video today, we're going to be reviewing day number 5 of training camp for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. No practice yesterday, but we were back today for yet another practice with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a practice that I was at. Myself and Rep Matthew over at the Cannon Fire podcast were yet again at this training camp practice. Shout out to Jessica and shout out to LaRon. Both of them I saw and talked to at this training camp practice. It was loads of fun just hanging out and talking with both of them. But in terms of the weather, because, we like to do weather updates here, it was still hot, it was still humid, but overall, there were some clouds in some portions, but then there were some other moments in this practice where the sun was just beating down on these players. It was absolutely brutal, and we will talk about how that might have affected some of these guys later on in this video. If you guys are new, go ahead and subscribe. If you do like these types of videos, hit the like button. You seem to be enjoying them so far, and give me your thoughts about what you think about these training camp practices down in the comment section down below. But in terms of players being out for this practice, you had Justin Watson, Cam Brate, John Franklin, and Chris Wilcox, who are all still on the PUP list. Cam Gill did not practice yet again. Jordan Whitehead, I believe he was there, but I don't know if he was practicing or not. And then the same thing could be said for Will Golston. But the big one, and this is huge in my opinion, it actually surprised a lot of people, OJ Howard returned to practice, which was so freaking awesome to see. We'll talk about how he did in a moment, but yeah, OJ Howard was back. He was catching passes, he was running routes, and it was so awesome to see. What do you guys think about OJ Howard returning? Let me know down in the comments section down below. This practice started off with them practicing blocking punts and doing some kickoff blocking as well. It's a necessary thing. I know it's not the most exciting thing to be practicing, but again, it is a necessity, and to be honest, it's how some of these guys do end up making the team and having jobs overall for a year. So yeah, you bet that those guys are going to take that portion of practice seriously. Maybe not all the starters, but definitely some of those backups. Kind of flipping now to talking about how OJ Howard did during this practice. He looked really solid. He did a very good job of making multiple good catches. His route running seemed to be good. Didn't seem like he was slowed down that much at all. If any, I didn't see any, slowness to his step or anything like that. Overall, I thought that OJ Howard actually did a very good job in today's practice, and I'm just happy to see him back. I mean, it really is an awesome thing to see. Travis Johnson, a young wide receiver, had a very good catch early on in practice against Javon Hagan and Nate Brooks, two guys we will talk about a little bit later on. Grant Stuard looked very good in coverage, and I know we haven't been talking about him a ton, but overall I thought he did a good job today. I didn't get to see him a ton because, they were constantly moving guys around, but what I saw from Grant Stuard, I liked. Keshawn, Vaughn, and Leonard Fournette both had a couple of really nice catches in this practice today, but they did also have a couple of drops, and it is what it is at this point, right? I mean, people have been complaining about it for so long. You just take the good with the bad, and both Keshawn Vaughn and Leonard Fournette had a really nice catch each against Devin White, who was all over him. So it was nice to see that they can make contested catches. Yes, the drops are there, but they are working on it. And one guy who doesn't drop the football at the running back position was Giovani Bernard, who Rhett actually made a good point to me to say he is very quick off the line of scrimmage, and he has wonderful speed after the catch. He had a really good practice in my opinion. I didn't see him drop a pass. Overall, I thought that his route running was pretty good, and Giovani Bernard's going to be a very special dude. I know that we've been talking about him for multiple videos now, but he just keeps on impressing in my opinion. I think he is going to be a really solid guy with a good pair of hands, and he's got deceptive speed, right? He's got speed that you don't really think about until he's blazing past people, and then you think, wow, Bernard's really fast. Like, that was kind of what we saw in today's practice, in my opinion, and in Rhett Matthew of the Cannon Fire Podcast's opinion as well. And yeah, Bernard did a very good job. Devin White had an interception off of Ryan Griffin. It was just a great play by White. He jumped right in front of the pass. It basically almost hit him right in the chest, but he tipped it up, he caught it, and it would have been a pick six in a game time situation. So you'll have to see the defense getting turnovers. It does stink for Ryan Griffin that he did throw a pick. Besides that, overall, Ryan Griffin actually had a pretty solid day of practice. Another thing that was interesting about the linebacking core was Joe Tryon was in coverage for certain situations, which I know people don't really think about whenever they think about the outside linebackers in this defense, but we've seen it before. JPP has 2 interceptions from being back in coverage. Shaq Barrett has dropped back in coverage before, and now we're seeing Joe Tryon in coverage. He's got the athleticism to do that. We all know that, and it was just kind of an interesting thing to keep an eye on. Moving back to the quarterback position, though, one guy who really did struggle throughout this practice was Blaine Gabbert. You guys thought I was probably going to say Kyle Trask, but Blaine Gabbert did struggle with indecisiveness early on in this practice, and it could have been because of good coverage. That definitely made his job a lot harder, but there were many times where he was just kind of tucking the ball under, couldn't find anybody open, and was probably holding onto the ball for way too long. He did that early on in practice, and that wasn't fun to see. He got a little bit better as the day was going on, but again, there were just some throws that were behind guys, too high for guys, and Gabbert did struggle in this practice, but I'm not worried about it. I'm sure he was just having a bad day, as were a lot of players, which again, we will talk about later. Javon Hagan had a nice forced fumble during scrimmage. I don't remember which player he had forced that fumble on, but Javon Hagan had a little bit of good, had a little bit of not so good as well. Overall, he is still battling for that 4th safety job. Ryan Suckup did not have a good day. He missed multiple kicks throughout this practice. Now, some of them were, very slow, take your time-esque kicks, but then there was one situation that they were practicing where it was almost like a hurry-up, where, Tom Brady throws a completion, and then you have to hurry up and get the field goal unit on, and Suckup did struggle in that portion of practice as well. I'm not worried about it at all. Ryan Suckup is still very, very good. Again, this was just a practice where a handful of players certainly struggled, and Ryan Suckup was one of them. He did miss a handful of kicks throughout the day, but let's not panic. It's one day of practice, and I'm sure that a lot of guys will get back on track. Tanner Hudson had a good day today, making multiple catches throughout the entirety of practice. Some in stride, some where he would just turn around on like a curl route or something and catch a ball. Overall, Hudson, he's still battling with guys like Jarrell Adams, Cody McElroy, who did make some nice plays in practice today, but I think Hudson was the leader of, say, those 3 guys making plays. It was definitely Hudson, then probably McElroy, and then Adams, who really, didn't make a ton of big splash plays today. Hudson kind of led the pack there by having a pretty decent day of practice. Travis Johnson continued to make some more impressive plays throughout practice. We talked about him just a moment ago where he had a nice catch against Javon Hagan and Nate Brooks. I thought that Johnson did a good job, and given his situation, it's a tough situation to be in. Definitely an uphill climb in terms of getting snaps and, making the 53-man roster, especially in that wide receiver room. But Travis Johnson, maybe he'll be a practice squad guy. Maybe he'll have some type of role in the future. Jason Light has a lot of confidence in him, as does the coaching staff, and overall, he made some good catches. He did some good stuff today. Shaq Barrett had what would have been a sack on Tom Brady. Overall, he did a good job in pass rushing, as did the, a couple of the Buccaneers starters. Sue also had what would have been a sack on Brady. It's nice to see some of those starters, pushing the pocket, really forcing guys to make some throws. They definitely did force Brady to make a couple of off throws, which we can talk about in a moment. But overall, I thought some of the starters did a good job in pass rushing. Antonio Hamilton actually had a pretty good day in coverage and as a blitzing corner, and he almost had an interception off of Tom Brady himself. So again, Hamilton's been very up and down, but maybe he's the guy who's breaking away in that 5th cornerback job. I feel like we've talked about him a decent amount throughout these videos. Again, there's been some good, some bad with Hamilton, but I feel like it's been more good than bad per se. So we'll see how Hamilton finishes out this training camp. Again, that 5th cornerback job, it's going to drag all the way to the end here. But again, Hamilton, he definitely helped out his case in today's practice. Mike Evans did Mike Evans things. He had a very nice big-bodied catch who I believe it was against Jamel Dean. It was either Jamel Dean or Herb Miller. It was a number 35 or a number 36. It was really too far away for me to tell, but that got the crowd going. Everybody was cheering and, really just supporting Mike Evans there, which you love to see. Again, Mike Evans doing Mike Evans things. That's always a fun time. Mike Edwards got an interception on Tom Brady, which might have been pass interference on, I believe it was Scotty Miller, but still good for Mike Edwards to get his hands on a pass and get an interception. But he did go down after the play. The trainers had to come over and check up on him. He got up and he seems to be doing okay. I don't believe it was anything super major, but I will definitely keep an eye on, what guys like Pewter Report, Buccaneers.com, and Greg Auman are reporting just to see if there's any updates on that. For the last couple of notes here, guys, Khalil Davis continued to show his pass rushing skills today. He did a very good job of moving the pocket, was pretty decent in run defense too, in my opinion. There was a couple of plays that he definitely got the better of some offensive linemen. I couldn't tell you who because it was generally too far away, but I was able to lock in on Davis doing some good work in pass rushing and a little bit in run defense, but mainly pass rushing. And then finally, guys, and this is a little bit of a downer, but after practice, Bruce Arians and Tom Brady were not happy with how practice went. Bruce Arians said it was a horrible practice. Everybody looked sluggish. Tom Brady said a similar thing. He was very mad. He said, "You guys caught me on a bad day. We didn't have a good practice." Obviously, they're going to fix things. Of course they are. We all know this. But one contributor could have been that heat. It was some really, really bad heat. Bruce did say, they also came back from an off day as well. Could have been a reason as to why they might have been sluggish and the team in its entirety struggled in practice today. But I'm not worried about it. I don't think you guys should be worried about it either. I think they'll get back on track. They'll get rolling, and overall, they will be fine, right? The heat can really get to you. Anybody who lives in Florida, you guys know that. I mean, my gosh, just me sitting out there on the bleachers watching the practice today with all the other, people who were there watching, I was sweating, and then the moment I walked out into the sun, it was just beaten down. So imagine wearing padding, imagine wearing helmets and trying to go out there and work in that. I get these guys are world-class athletes, but they're also human too. I'm not going to be worried about one bad day of practice. And in my opinion, there were some positives to take away from this practice, which hopefully I was able to detail and highlight for you guys in this video. But that's going to be it for this video, guys. What do you think about all the stuff that I talked about down in the comment section below? What do you think about O.J. Howard returning to practice? I'm super excited for it, and I can't wait to watch him continue to get back into the swing of things and get back to that O.J. Howard that we all know and love. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope y'all enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.